if open queue is going to work, we're going to need to see some changes before it becomes an actual viable mode. And I want to talk about some solutions that I have come up with in this video, so let's get into it. As many of you guys know, I am a big role queue advocate, but I understand that not a lot of people want role queue in this game, and I want to talk about some solutions that I feel like would make a lot of sense if they weren't going to go down the, role queue route. So the first solution is obviously just to talk about balance. I think balance is probably the biggest thing that they could do to save open queue, in my opinion, because right now, dude, I can't stand triple support. I really can't. And then fighting triple duelist as a solo tank is not fun at all. Like, the best thing they could do for this game, for the health of the game, is to do what I said in the last video, just do a purge season where they nerf every single character. And I don't like that, like, oh, it's only the strategist's fault. Everything wrong with the game is no, listen, bro. I might have said that I hate triple support in this game. I also hate playing against triple DPS, especially as a tank. And if you're on support, and let's say you're playing double support, and let's say Sue and Gambit are banned, and then let's say you have a Luna, and let's say you have a Rocket or like an Atom or something. It's not fun going against triple dive DPS, okay? It's not fun going against a Daredevil, and let's say they have a Hella or something. I know that's not dive, but like, it's not fun either way. Like, let's say Moon Knight is chucking stuff back into the back line. You have a Daredevil diving you at the same exact time, and Hella is melting your tanks, or Bucky's like hooking in your tanks. It's not a fun experience, which is why I think a lot of people default to triple support a lot of the times, because like, it's just a lot more comfortable. And the problem with, I think, Duelist and Vanguards in that aspect is that a lot of them don't have downtime, and like, less so tanks. The only tanks that don't really like have that quote-unquote downtime that I'm talking about is like Cap, but like, even then he has to back out, so it's mainly DPS. If you are wailing on someone as Daredevil, you don't really have downtime at all. You just keep whacking at him, you know what I mean? Like, DPS in Overwatch, and again, oh, we bringing up Overwatch again, bro. Overwatch to me did the concepts for every single archetype really well. If you're a poke DPS, like let's say you're Ashe, you don't have anti-dive tools to get away from dive. Like, if you go to, I just clicked on Groot. If you go to Hela, for example, she has like insane poke damage, a stun when you get up close that is AoE, by the way, and has an iframe to get away. Her ultimate is literally just a you can't kill me in this ultimate button. That's it. Like, compared to Ashe, this character is giga busted. And like, in my opinion, if you're going to fit into an archetype, let's say you're dive. If you're dive, you need to not have as much damage, and you have to have downtime in between your attacks. But the reason why dive works in a game like Overwatch is that you're coordinating with someone else. Dive shouldn't be an independent role where people, or like role, independent like archetype where you can just go in and just do everything yourself. If you think any dive meta, you're always having, like, let's say back in the day, let's say you're running Diva Winston, and then you're running Genji, and then maybe like a Kree or something. I don't know. I forgot what exactly was meta back then when they had role queue or whatever. That was dive, you know? But like, essentially, you always have a tank go in that's a dive tank with you, and then you have your dive TPS that goes in, and you have your poke tank or something, and your poke DPS that kind of holds down the front line. That is how dive should work. You shouldn't be able to just, you know, get a lot of value off of a solo dive. You get more value off of diving together. The only problem is that when you dive together in this game, you have characters like Venom that is just really hard to poke out, because he has so much uptime on his stuff. Like, it reminds me a lot of Ball, and even Ball has downtime. Okay, Ball has downtime where he has to just leave. He can't just stick in the fight and live forever. Venom can kind of just do that, and by the time you're getting him low, he presses his little funny button, and then when you're close to killing him, afterwards he just swings away, and you're like, okay, and he comes back in, slams down, and by the time he slams down again, he has his big funny button again, you know? And I think that's just kind of like a big problem, which is why I suggested that they should do a purge season. Nerf everything, nerf the cooldowns of things, nerf the damage of things, lower down the power creep of everything in the game, and you might be able to see some change after. Another solution that I would suggest would be to have role-wide debuffs if you have 3 or more of a said role. for support, for example. And we go through all the roles after support, but support is definitely the biggest problem right now, seeing as triple support is just a big pain to deal with. And my solution for this, or like what I would do, is let's say you pick 3 supports. Let's say you pick Gambit, Sue, and Ultron. When you pick those 3 supports, you can maybe have a big healing debuff, like let's say a 25% healing debuff across the board to every single one of their abilities that heal, and then a 50% reduced to ultimate charge rate across the board for those 3 supports. That would make it so that, yeah, you can still pick triple support if you wanted to, but you are at, risk of losing the ult fight to a double support comp on the other team. The problem with triple support in this game is that hypothetically you should be cannibalizing your own healing with going triple support, which is how it works in Overwatch. But the problem is, and the difference between those 2 games, is that Overwatch doesn't have this much damage in the game. Like, they're not able to output hella levels of damage at all in that game. So you're gonna build ultimates a lot longer in Overwatch versus this game. In this game, you have so much damage coming in that, like, even with triple support, you build ult really, really fast, and especially with the addition of Gambit. So, in my opinion, if you're gonna pick triple support, you should have a little bit of a debuff on it, because hypothetically how it should work is that you should lose an ult fight, like the ult exchange, with a double support comp, because the double support comp isn't cannibalizing their own healing. With a triple support comp, you should be cannibalizing your own healing, but that isn't the case in this game, unless of course they are running a very low damage comp, which doesn't make, I don't know how you would beat a triple support comp without a high damage comp. That doesn't really check out to me. Like, maybe you run like a Hawkeye and you can just one-shot stuff. All right, so I'm gonna keep it a buck. Tanks, I don't think we're gonna have this problem. I rarely run into triple tank, like, at all. But when I do run into triple tank, it's a big problem. Okay, like, there's just so much health on that team and self-sustain on top of the giga sustain by the supports in this game. So I think that, like, if they were to have more than 3 tanks on a team for whatever reason, you nerf down their base HP by like 200 or something, or maybe 150 if 200 is too much. Like, essentially you lower down the health pools if you have 3 or more tanks, because you're having 3 whole different bodies of tanks on your team. And I think it's fair to nerf their HP by 200 across the board. Some tanks might get shafted a little bit more, like Angela, for example. She'd have 300 HP. It's a little squishy, but you're essentially trading your HP for having 2 other tanks with you. Like, why I suggested a health change is because let's say you're running a triple dive tank comp with Angela, Captain America, and Venom. That comp is really oppressive if you have all of them having like 600 plus HP, you know what I mean? So I think you can nerf down the HP across the board if you have 3 or more tanks on the team. That is what I would do for tanks. So I saved DPS for last for a specific reason, and it's because, like, you can't just like global nerf DPS across the board, because some characters like Spider-Man would struggle with a debuff to the roll across the board. So what I was thinking was that maybe across the board on Duelist, if you have 3 or more Duelist, you can maybe make it so that maybe their health pools all go down. Like, you risk being squishier on DPS, but you can run 3. And let's say the same thing as supports. If you have 3 Duelists on your team, you build ultimates 50% fast. You know what? This can apply to the tank roll as well. If you have 3 or more of said roll, have 50% less ult charge across the board. So if you're going to run triple DPS, you'll be squishier, and you'll build ults way slower. I was going to do a damage nerf across the board, but like, I'm going to keep it a stack. Like, if you lower down Black Widow's damage and she doesn't meet the threshold with Mantis, it's not that great of a system. But I will say, I think, in my opinion, if this is all in the assumption that they do the purge season where they nerf everybody down, damage might not be an issue then, but a roll wide debuff where they get a lot squishier and they build ults less fast, I think would be a good starting point for the DPS, like role debuff if they were to have 3 or more. Whether you want to believe it or not, every single person has a main role in this game. As for me, my default role is support, but lately I have been frustrated with this role, not because of the reason that you might think, but because I hate triple support. I hate enabling triple support, and unfortunately, my favorite character in the game enables triple support, which is why I don't like playing support right now. But everyone has a preferred role. A lot of people have DPS as their preferred role. To me, DPS is the second most played role for me, and probably my favorite right now. And yeah, essentially most people in this game have a main role and an off role, which they play, or a flex role that they play, and then they have an off role, which is like a role they don't really play that much. And for me, and for a lot of other people, is Vanguard. Essentially how a preferred role system would work is that you select 2 roles that you prefer to play, which most people have 2 roles that they actually can play, and then you have an off chance of getting the other role that you don't play too much. Like a preferred role essentially just makes it so that when you get into a game, you're going to be one of those preferred roles that you selected. And then you can make it so that even in mid game, or like in the select screen or something, or in between rounds, you can request to swap roles with somebody. That could be a solution as well. I don't think it's that good of a thing to allow people to be able to swap roles in between a match, because there are some complications, like if someone dies and someone doesn't die, it'll be hard to like do that. You can only really swap roles on a team reset. And there's also the thing where you can't strange portal if like they have that said thing. But I'm gonna keep it real, I don't like that Doctor Strange has that thing on him. Like, you're better off not having Strange on your team to like be able to portal on anybody else. And yes, I know that portal saves a lot of fights, and you win a lot of team fights that you're not supposed to win because you get to get portal off, but I actually don't think I like that change whatsoever. I actually hate the fact that you can't play Strange, because if you do play Strange, your team is at a disadvantage because you can't portal, you know what I mean? I hate that fact, and I really want for this change, if it were to go through, it would eliminate that problem, and I think that would be a good thing. I actually don't like that you can portal back to point. Whether or not it saves my team from losing or something like that, I hate that mechanic altogether. I hate it altogether that you can, like, why am I punished for playing Doctor Strange because I want to play Doctor Strange? And let's say Doctor Strange is your favorite tank to play in the game. Why are you punished playing Doctor Strange just because, like, oh, you selected him, so nobody can port to point when we need it? I really hate that. If I were to say a preferred role, like let's say they were to add a preferred role system, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd be locked into the role that you got out of your 2 preferred roles. If you select 3, you'll get a queue faster, you know what I mean? But if you only queue 1, or you have one like preferred role, you can either wait in queue time for that one specific role, or you select 2 or 3, which incentivizes people to play more roles and to be able to flex. I think that would be a good alternative to role queue, but that would still get the same thing across. I think all of these changes honestly could just be added if you weren't like to do role queue. And role queue comes with its own problems. I'm not gonna say that role queue is the perfect solution, but if you want open queue to work, you have to have some of these things in play for it to work. And the same thing for role debuffs. You could also have role buffs. If you are a solo tank, maybe you get an additional 200 HP to, kind of circumvent that. But I will say, it's not as universal as you might think, because a solo Magneto that's not gonna be that great. Like a solo Emma Frost, like an Emma Frost with an additional like 150 HP or 200 HP is not going to be that fun to go against either. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Again, just to remind everyone that this is kind of just like a discussion starter. It's not like a be-all end-all solution video of what they have to do in order to fix it, other than the balanced one. I think that one is pretty mandatory. But the other changes, if you have other solutions to how they could solve open queue and make open queue work and not be frustrating to play against, and all the yap I usually talk about. But like, if you have other solutions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. If you think my take is wrong, or if you have a better take and you feel like you have a better take, that's what the comment section is for. I will say, debate civilly, because when all y'all like, oh, this guy's takes are so bad, bro, well then offer a solution to that take and like say what you think would be better. Don't just say that the takes are bad. Don't just say like, oh, these changes would be terrible for the game. It would kill the game. You're bad at the game, Gallo. Oh, you can say that one. But like, if you're going to talk trash and say like my takes are bad or my solutions are bad, offer some solutions yourself in the comment section attached with it. Like, I really hate when some people say like, oh, this solution would be terrible. And I'm like, okay, what's your solution for it? And there's no solution. And it's like, it just wouldn't work. That's what they say. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're gonna say that my take is bad, but then not offer a good take. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, that's like saying, that's like me asking for constructive criticism and you'll be like, oh, well, the thing that you're doing is bad. I'm like, okay, so how do I fix it? I don't know, man. It's just bad. You're just doing it bad. You know what I mean? So like, if you're going to drop a comment and be like, oh, your takes are terrible, bro. This would ruin the game. This would not fix the game. Then drop something that would fix the game then, okay? You know what I mean? Like, these are some just ideas I'm putting out there. If you don't agree with them, I don't really care. This is just me yapping to the camera. I don't have scripts for my videos. I never script my videos, which is why you see a lot of the times I'm kind of just rambling, like I am doing now for this outro. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.